You move to a place like Maple Grove expecting tranquility. It's the kind of suburban cul-de-sac where kids ride bikes in lazy circles, and the only noise is the hum of lawnmowers on a Saturday morning. Picture perfect houses, neat hedges, and neighbors who nod politely as they walk their golden retrievers. That's why we settled her and me wife, Sarah, and I. I'm Daniel, a high school civics teacher who'd rather grade papers than stir up trouble. Sarah, on the other hand, is the police chief of Westfield, a woman who can silence a room with a glance but never flaunts it. We thought Maple Grove would be our sanctuary. What we didn't count on was Linda Harper, the iron-fisted ruler of the Maple Grove Homeowners Association, storming into our lives like a wildfire. Linda wasn't just particular, she was a dictator in khakis. As HOA president, she wielded the rulebook like a sledgehammer, patrolling the neighborhood with a clipboard and a vendetta. Leave your trash bin out an hour too long. Expect a $75 fine and a typed citation. Plant a shrub an inch too close to the sidewalk. She'd slap you with a violation notice faster than you could say property values. We'd had our skirmishes with her before. Once, she claimed our porch lantern was disruptively luminous and demanded we swap it for a dimmer bulb. Another time, she insisted our Thanksgiving wreath was aesthetically non-compliant for November. Sarah and I laughed it off, figuring she'd tire herself out eventually. We were wrong. It was a crisp Tuesday morning when the storm hit. Sarah had left at dawn for a precinct meeting, and I was savoring my coffee, still in my sweatpants, when a pounding rattled the front door. Not a knock pounding, like someone was trying to break it down. I opened it to find Linda, her face a shade of crimson that screamed heart attack. She jabbed a finger at our recycling bin, parked innocently by the curb. "You used the wrong bin, Daniel," she barked, clutching her clipboard like a shield. Section 4C, Bin Visibility Protocol. "This is a disgrace to the neighborhood." "Morning to you too," I muttered, rubbing sleep from my eyes. "I'll move it after breakfast." Her eyes narrowed. "After breakfast? This is a violation, not a suggestion. You think you're above the rules because your wife's got a badge." Before I could respond, she shoved past me, storming into my foyer like she owned the place, and grabbed the bin's handle, dragging it toward the door. I stepped in front of her, heart racing. "Linda, get out of my house. Now." "This is HOA business," she snapped, her voice shrill. Then, in a move that still feels like a fever dream, she tucked her clipboard under her arm, reared back, and kicked the door frame with the force of a sledgehammer. The glass panel shattered, shards exploding across the hardwood. A jagged piece grazed my ankle, and I froze, stunned. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I shouted, my voice echoing in the sudden silence. For a split second, Linda looked shocked, like she hadn't meant to go that far. But then her face hardened. "You'll pay for this damage," she hissed. "Defy me again, and I'll have the HOA bury you in fines so deep your kids' will be paying them." That was her mistake. I pulled out my phone, hands shaking, and dialed Sarah on speaker. "Hey, honey," I said, forcing calm. "Linda just kicked in our front door. Glasses everywhere." There was a pause, then Sarah's voice cut through, sharp as a blade. "I'll be there in 10. 8 minutes later, a police SUV roared into our driveway. Linda, who'd been pacing the porch and muttering about standards, froze as Sarah stepped out. Her badge gleamed under the morning sun, and her boots hit the pavement with a deliberate thud. She climbed the porch steps, her presence filling the space like a gathering storm. "Linda Harper?" she asked, her tone deceptively calm. Linda stammered, clutching her clipboard tighter. "2 was enforcing HOA regulations." He resisted. Sarah's eyes flicked to the shattered glass, then back to Linda. "You forced your way into a private residence and destroyed property. That's felony vandalism, trespassing, and borderline assault." Her voice was ice, each word a hammer strike. "Turn around. You can't arrest me." Linda squeaked, her bravado crumbling. "This is an HOA matter." "You kicked in my door," Sarah said, stepping closer. "That's a crime. Hands behind your back." The cuffs clicked shut before Linda could protest further, the metallic snap echoing in the still air. Neighbors peeked from behind curtains, phones already out, capturing the spectacle of Linda Harper, HOA tyrant, being led to the cruiser in handcuffs. One guy across the street didn't even try to hide his grin. Linda spent the night in county jail, her clipboard confiscated as evidence. By noon the next day, The HOA board had called an emergency meeting and voted to suspend her indefinitely. Rumors swirled. Some said she'd been skimming dues for years. Others claimed she'd been planning to sue half the neighborhood. We replaced the door that afternoon, opting for reinforced glass that could withstand a tank. The neighborhood shifted after that. People waved a little warmer when we walked our lab, Max. The same guy who once snitched about my overgrown side yard dropped off a tray of brownies, muttering something about Linda going too far. Sarah didn't gloat. That night, over takeout pizza, she shrugged and said, "Let the law handle it." Always does. But the story spread like wildfire. At the grocery store, a cashier whispered, "Is it true your wife arrested the HOA lady?" At school, my students grilled me for details, turning Linda into a suburban legend. Some neighbors called Sarah a hero. Others grumbled that the HOA was toothless without Linda's iron grip. The debate split. Maple Grove team, Linda had it coming, versus team, HOA rules matter. It was the kind of drama that could fuel a reality show. Looking back, I almost feel sorry for Linda. Almost. She thought she could bully her way into our home, our lives, without consequence. But she didn't know who she was dealing with, not just a cop, but a woman who'd spent years facing down worse than a clipboard-wielding busybody. The lesson? Never kick down a door unless you're ready to face what's on the other side.